Welcome to your daily dose of sci-fi adventures. New stories dropped every single day. Smash that subscribe button and ring the to help us reach 1,000 subscribers and unlock even more epic cosmic tales. The survey shuttle Asterion breached Eridani IV's upper atmosphere at dawn, slicing through banks of swirling magenta clouds. Lieutenant Arya Chen felt the familiar thrum of the engines beneath her feet, a steady reminder of home, but this world was anything but familiar. Below lay a tapestry of bioluminescent jungles, their foliage pulsing with gentle azure light, and jagged canyons frackling like celestial veins across the planet's surface. Officially, her mission was simple: catalog Eridani IV's potential for human colonization. Unofficially, she coveted every mystery it offered. Her first full day on the surface saw her team establish a makeshift camp beside a river of molten glass, a phenomenon unique to this planet. The locals' legends later called it the Silver Serpent. Arya charted mineral samples while her colleagues set up satellite relays and atmospheric sensors. She moved with studied precision, yet couldn't ignore the knot of anticipation tightening in her chest. Reports of intelligent life had been unconfirmed. Every rustle in the underbrush made her heart flutter. Late that afternoon, her portable scanner pinged a faint, irregular biosignature with a heart rate far removed from any known animal. The reading shimmered on her visor's HUD: lifeform detected, size small, metabolism pediatric level. Instinctively, she followed the signal into the cobalt forest. Towering trunks spiraled up like living skyscrapers, their bark rippling with phosphorescent motes. The canopy filtered the sun into emerald shafts, and the air hummed with alien insect song. She tracked the reading deeper, ducking beneath oversized ferns and clambering over luminescent roots that writhed like serpents. In a clearing, she froze. A small figure crouched beside a fern that glowed with an ethereal violet hue. The child was no taller than 3 human feet, with narrow shoulders and limbs that seemed almost crystalline, translucent skin revealing veins that pulsed with pale light. Their hair was a shock of cerulean, each strand tipped with a fractal pattern that reminded Arya of lightning frozen mid-strike. The child trembled, their large, luminescent eyes wide with terror. They held a small, carved totem, a jagged shard of bone etched with symbols that pulsed faintly, as though alive. Panic radiated from their posture, though Arya's universal translator lay inert and powered by the planet's unique electromagnetic interference. She needed no words to understand fear. "Easy, I'm here to help," Arya murmured, leveling a hand to show she carried no weapon. She crouched slowly, maintaining an open posture. The child clutched the totem to their chest, backing against the fern's curling fronds. A soft whimper reached Arya's ears, almost musical, like a note stretched thin, heart-pounding. She eased off her helmet's visor glow to a softer setting and produced a small vial of purified water. "No, hurt," she whispered, holding the vial aloft. The child's lips twitched, their glow dimming as suspicion battled with thirst. Arya lowered herself further, settling on one knee. The forest's ambient light painted patterns on her suit. "I'll help you," she repeated. In that moment, the distant growl of a thunderstorm rolled over the canyon walls. A sudden gust rattled the ferns, and the child's fear crescendoed. They hurled the totem at Arya's feet, an instinctive plea. Arya caught it reflexively, noticing how its pulsing light synchronized with the child's racing pulse displayed faintly on her visor. Carefully, she placed the totem in her pack and extended the vial. Water. After what felt like an eternity, the child's hand shot out, fingers slender and jointed in unexpected places wrapped around the vial. They brought it to their lips, sipping tentatively until the vial's contents vanished. A soft, relieved sigh echoed, this time in human cadence. Arya seized the moment, placing a reassuring hand on the child's shoulder. "Let's get you safe," she said, activating her calm. "Asterion, this is Chen. I have an unplanned evac solo, pediatric life form, heading to nearest shelter." Point. Static crackled back, then the pilot's voice. "Copy that, Chen. Support en route in 10 mics." Arya nodded, though the child on her shoulder couldn't see. She switched off the scanner's aggressive pings and secured her sidearm more firmly, protocol-mandated readiness. Then she hoisted the child onto her back, mindful of their delicate frame. The weight was surprising, heavier than expected. As though the totem in her pack anchored them both, they navigated back toward camp under the gathering storm. Lightning cracked, illuminating the forest in stark relief. Acidic rain began to patter on her visor, each drop hissing on contact. Arya led them to a nearby cavern she had mapped earlier, a depression in the canyon wall that widened into a hollowed grotto. Inside, bioluminescent fungi carpeted the walls in living mosaics of teal and lavender. Moments later, the support team arrived, their boots echoing off the cavern floor. Dr. Malik rushed forward with a medkit, eyes widening when he saw the child. He began a quick scan, murmuring into his console. Arya removed the child, setting them gently on a bed of soft lichen. The child flinched, but didn't resist. Findings? Arya asked, breathless. Dr. Malik exchanged a look with Arya, his brow furrowed. Anatomies unlike anything in our databases. Cardiovascular structure more akin to complex plant xylem phloem integration. Neurosignals registering at timescales slower than mammals, but faster than reptiles. This species, if it is a species, defies classification. The child sat up, touching the carved totem's place on the ground. From the shadows, their wail rose fractured between human lament and alien melody. Arya knelt beside them, offering another vial of water. This time, the child looked directly at her, their eyes reflecting the fungal glow. For a heartbeat, their gaze held no fear, only raw curiosity. Then the child reached out, placing a crystalline hand on Arya's chest plate. The HUD flickered as the totem in her pack pulsed in harmony. With the touch, Arya's breath caught. Before she could react, the cavern entrance lit up with the glow of dozens of scanners, her team's equipment, and beyond that, the shimmering forms of tall, graceful beings emerging from the storm. Cloaked in robes of iridescent fibers that seemed woven from moonlight, they moved with deliberate poise. Their silhouettes were elongated, limbs tapering to delicate points, and their eyes glowed with a soft, inner light. Arya rose, heart hammering, the child pressed close, as if seeking comfort in this stranger on stranger moment. Beyond the veil of rain and bioluminescence, these figures represented an entire civilization, one whose child she had just rescued, and one that now stood to judge her actions. Arya steadied her voice. Greetings. I am Lieutenant Arya Chen of the starship Asterion. An elder among them lifted a slender hand. Light rippled across their fingertips, and a voice echoed in Arya's mind, clear and resonant, as though spoken across the vastness of space. You have freed the lost. Come, healer, your test has begun. Arya's breath hitched. The elder inclined their head, eyes luminous with ancient wisdom. Around her, Eridani IV's forest exhaled in phosphorescent sighs, and the totem in her pack thrummed like a summons, unaware that her fate and that of an entire people hung in the balance. Arya took her first reluctant step toward the alien village, the storm's fury at her back and a destiny yet unwritten before her. The morning light filtered through the cavern's entrance in a soft cascade of emerald and violet. Arya woke to the quiet hum of her 3 drones, her team's exploratory bots scanning the stalactites above. The lost child was nowhere to be seen. Heart pounding, she stood and moved toward the back of the grotto, where the walls opened into a narrow passage. There, curled against the phosphorescent fungi, lay the child, clutching the carved totem. Their breathing was slow, almost monk-like, as if communing with the cave itself. Arya knelt beside them. She gently brushed a strand of cerulean hair away from their glowing cheek. We should go, she whispered. The child stirred, opening eyes that shone with newfound trust. Outside, the storm had passed. The cobalt forest glistened under a sky scraped clean by thunder, leaves dripping with crystal droplets that chimed as they fell. Arya strapped the child into a lightweight harness she'd improvised, then slung the pack with the pulsing totem across her shoulders. Follow the river, she murmured, recalling the landscape map she'd memorized. The silver serpent ran northward through the forest, and beyond it lay the basalt cliffs rumored to house the Eridani's hidden village. If she could return the child there, the strange rescue test might conclude. They set out, the forest closing around them like a living cathedral. Arya's boots sank into spongy moss, Magnified spores drifted in the humid air. The child settled on her back, reached out to touch the lantern mushrooms that dotted the path, their caps glowing in gentle spirals of pink and green. Each touch triggered a soft pulse like the forest greeting them as kin. After an hour, the ground began to slope upward. The river's roar grew louder, mingled now with the distant calls of winged creatures, their silhouettes darting between the canopy. Arya paused at a bend where the silver serpent split around a small island. On the far bank stood a slender stone arch, carved with the same fractal patterns as the child's totem. "This way," she said, pointing. Crossing the river meant navigating a series of flat stones, wet with dew. Arya tested each one before, stepping somewhere slick and covered in bioluminescent algae that glowed neon yellow underfoot. The child watched in fascination, their quiet coos harmonizing with the water's murmur. Midway across, a tremor rippled through the stones. A submerged root, heavy with sediment, shifted and tilted one of the slabs. Arya's foot slipped. Instinctively, she clutched at the child, their small frame pressing against her back. With a surge of adrenaline, she grabbed the totem pack strap and lunged toward the ark's support pillar. The world spun as water splashed, but by sheer will she regained her footing, pressing the child's face safely against her shoulder. Heart racing, she whispered reassurance. The child reached back, laying a slender hand over her. A warmth bloomed in Arya's chest, steadying her nerves. Whatever trials lay ahead, she knew they would face them together. On the far side, Arya surveyed the landscape beyond the arch, a narrow gorge cutting through basalt, its walls etched with ancient carvings showing Eridani gliding across the sky in winged vessels. The path wound upward in switchbacks. As they climbed, the vegetation thinned, the air sharpened and cool. Tiny motes flickered like embers in the gloom, drifting upward as if guiding their ascent. At midday, they crested the ridge and looked down upon the hidden valley below. Clusters of dwellings, honeycomb structures carved into the basalt walls glowed softly. Bridges woven from luminescent vines arched between terraces. At the valley's center stood a towering spire of sculpted stone, crowned with rotating crystals that caught the light and sent prismatic beams across the valley. Floor. Arya exhaled, awed. "There," she said, pointing toward a wide ramp spiraling down to the settlement's edge. The child turned their head, eyes bright. As if understanding her words, they began to hum a low, melodic vibration that resonated through Arya's harness. She began the descent. Each step brought new wonders, gardens of iridescent flowers that opened only to wind song, pools of mirror-like water reflecting the crystalline sky, statues of ancestors etched with faces both stern and serene. Villagers, tall, elegant figures watched silently from alcoves, their luminous eyes fixed on her approach. At the ramp's base, Arya paused, choosing her words carefully. "I've brought your child home," she called, her voice steady in the hush. The villagers exchanged glances. Some bowed their heads. Ahead, a contingent approached Eridani, their robes shifting like living auroras. At their center, the silver-tendrilled elder emerged once more. Arya set the child down gently. They staggered on newfound legs, then ran to the elder, pressing the totem into their hands. The totem flared, bathing the gathering in soft light. The child turned and met Arya's gaze, eyes shining with gratitude and something deep approval. The elder lifted the totem staff high. "You have faced our trials, compassion and chaos, courage and uncertainty, and humility before the unknown." Their voice echoed again in Arya's mind. "Step forward. Healer Arya Chen of the Stars, your journey has found its purpose." Arya drew a trembling breath. Before she could speak, the villagers parted, revealing a dais of polished basalt. On it lay an intricate crown woven of crystalline vines and starlight threads. The totem's pulse quickened in her pack, signaling the moment had come. As thunder rolled gently in the distant skies above Eridani 4, Arya stepped onto the dais, heart pounding not with fear, but with resolve. Whatever lay ahead, choice, destiny, or duty, she would meet it, not as an intruder, but as a bridge between worlds. And in the silent echo of the valley, the first notes of her coronation stirred on the wind. The moment felt suspended in time as Arya stepped off the dais. The villagers' glow-dimmed eyes turned to her in unison. Yet their expressions were impossible to read beneath the serene masks of Eridani features. The elder raised the crystalline staff, its faceted tip catching stray beams of bioluminescence and fracturing them into spectral ribbons that danced across the basalt walls. Arya's boots made no sound on the polished stone platform as she walked toward the elder. With each measured step, she sensed the weight of centuries behind those silent faces, histories written in the stars and etched in the very geology of this world. Her hand hovered just above the crown of woven crystal vines, but she did not reach for it. Instead, she allowed her gaze to drift over the assembly, searching for a sign that this was truly their choice and not some illusion wrought by alien sophistry. The elder's voice resonated again, low and melodious, but now spoken aloud. Arya Chen of Earth, you have restored the balance of our village by returning our lost child. Yet leadership among the Eridani demands more than a single act of compassion. You must also embrace the burden of knowledge, the stewardship of tradition, and the vision to guide our people into an uncertain future. At their signal, two attendants emerged carrying a shallow basin carved from moonstone. Within it floated a swirling pool of liquid light, its surface rippling like a tranquil sea under starlight. One attendant knelt beside Arya, holding the basin steady. The other presented a slender rod of crystallized sap. The elder beckoned Arya closer. Reflect, they intoned. Look into the well of echoes and bear witness to our path. Arya hesitated only a moment before lifting the rod and dipping its tip into the luminous liquid. The pool shimmered and shifted, revealing visions, verdant valleys blooming after millennia of drought, fleets of winged vessels unfurling from hidden hangars, the stars themselves rearranging in silent patterns above Eridani IV's twin moons. Each image pulsed with possibility and peril. She saw herself at the helm of a moonlit council, debating the ethics of opening their world to interstellar commerce. She saw children of both species, human and Eridani, playing beneath the glow of fused lantern fungi. She saw a meteor storm smiting half the village, and herself rallying survivors to rebuild from ash. A tear slid down Arya's cheek as the final vision faded, leaving only the soft luminescence of the basin. She straightened, meeting the elder's gaze. I see hope and responsibility, she said softly. I see that leading you means more than ruling. It means listening to your lore, learning your ways, and sometimes sacrificing my own desires for the good of your people. The elder inclined their head, and the moonstone basin lowered. You speak the heart of a chieftain, they replied, with a graceful motion. They retrieved the crown from its pedestal and stepped forward, their hands pale and delicate held it out to Arya. As Arya reached to accept the crown, a circlet of woven crystal vines threaded with strands of starlight, she felt a warmth emanate from it, as though it recognized the hand destined to wear it. The villagers exhaled in a collective sigh, their glowing eyes brightening. The lost child watched from the front of the assembly, their curious gaze fixed on Arya with unwavering trust. With measured reverence, Arya placed the crown upon her head. It settled against her brow, cool and reassuring. At that instant, the cavern-like clearing around them came alive. Lantern fungi bloomed in spontaneous bursts. Vines untwined from treetops to form arches overhead, and the wind carried a chorus of faint, harmonious voices, an ancient song of welcome. The elders spoke one final time, their voice now echoing in every mind present. By this crown, we entrust you with the legacy of the Eridani. May your guidance bridge our worlds, and may the light of this bond shine across the cosmos. Arya bowed her head, her heart alight. The vision she had seen in the well of echoes mingled with the tangible joy in the villagers' faces. She swept her gaze over the crowd, past the stairways of living vines, the crystalline spires, and the twin moons rising in the sky, and whispered, I accept. A ripple of luminescent petals unfurled from the palms of every Eridani present, drifting through the air like spectral butterflies. In their glow, Arya glimpsed her new role, not conqueror, not interloper, but chieftain of a people whose trust she had earned, and whose future now intertwined with her own. The crown's gentle pulse matched the child's steady breath, binding human and alien in a promise as old as the stars themselves. Dusk fell over the honeycomb terraces, as twin moons Selene and Thalos rose in stately procession, Their silver and violet light pooled across the basalt plaza, illuminating arches of living vine and crystalline spire. The entire village assembled in reverent silence. Eridani of every age, from stooped elders to curious hatchlings, gathered to witness the final rite. Arya stood at the center of the dais. The crystal vine crown settled calmly upon her brow. Its gentle pulse echoed her own heartbeat, a living testament to their bond. The elder raised the crystalline staff one last time. From its tip unfurled ribbons of prismatic light that wove through the crowd, like rivers of starlight in their glow. Each Eridani offered a token. Some placed woven lantern moss at Arya's feet. Others laid carved bone fragments, symbols of ancestral wisdom around the dais. The lost child brought forward the totem that had guided them all, now transformed into a delicate scepter of polished bone and crystal. With a small, solemn nod, Arya accepted it, feeling its warmth spread through her veins. Silence gave way to a hushed chant, a melodic verse in the Eridani tongue, invoking unity, stewardship, and exploration. Arya closed her eyes, allowing the cadence to fill her mind. When the chant reached its crescendo, the villagers lifted their voices in unison, and with a final, resounding chord, they bowed. Arya opened her eyes to see their faces luminous. With hope, she raised the scepter to her lips and spoke, her voice carrying steady across the plaza. Friends of Eridani IV, I stand before you not as a conqueror, but as a guardian of our shared destiny. Together we will tend our forests, steward our waters, and chart the wonders that await beyond our skies. The stars that once felt so distant now beckon us home. A surge of bioluminescent petals erupted from the fungi-lined walls, drifting down like celestial snow. The villagers cheered, a sound like wind chimes carried on a mountain gale. Arya stepped down from the dais, moving among them. She clasped hands with the elder, exchanged a warm nod with the child, and embraced Dr. Malik and her expedition team, who had been granted honorary membership in the newly formed Council of Light. That very night, under a canopy of dancing auroras caused by Eridani IV's magnetic storms, Arya convened her first council meeting in the spire chamber. Seats of carved basalt, inlaid with iridescent stones, formed a circle beneath hanging lantern bloom clusters. On one side sat the elders, their centuries-old wisdom etched into slender features. On the other, the expedition's human scientists, curious but respectful, eager to learn. In the center, Arya placed the scepter of Prytit's, light casting shifting patterns across every face. She began with gratitude, then laid out her vision: environmental harmony, integrate human technology to monitor the planet's delicate biome without disrupting the Eridani's symbiotic bonds. Cultural exchange, establish a learning grove where human scholars and Eridani lore keepers could share knowledge. Mechanical engineering and star navigation for one side, ancestral chants and bioluminescent agriculture for the other. Stellar outreach, commission a small delegation to retrofit the Asterion as an emissary vessel, bound for Earth not to claim or conquer, but to invite dialogue and mutual respect. Debate followed. Some elders feared human hubris might fracture the delicate equilibrium. The scientists sought assurances of open data sharing. Arya navigated both concerns with care, invoking the well of Echo's lessons. Leadership is less about decree and more about listening. When tensions flared over resource allocation, particularly when mining rights were mentioned, she proposed a pilot program. Human prospectors could survey subterranean strata using non-invasive drones, while Eridani shamans performed the rite of grounding to bless each site, ensuring no spirit of the land was harmed. Approval came in murmured assent weeks later, as the modified Asterion lifted off under a curtain of emerald-hued rain. Arya watched from the valley's edge, the child at her side waving a fern-woven banner. The craft's engines glowed with calibrated soft blue thrust, and its hull bore both Starfleet insignia and Eridani glyphs, the emblem of a new alliance. Before the hatch sealed, Arya stepped aboard once more, placing her hand against the viewport. She whispered a promise to return with ambassadors, to safeguard Eridani IV's wonders, and to ensure no warp of greed would taint their shared horizon. As the shuttle arched into the sky, Selene and Thalos cast twin reflections on the rippling pools below. The village exhaled in unified exultation, and high above, amid the tapestry of stars, Arya Chen felt the full weight and the exhilarating freedom of her new mantle. Chieftain, diplomat, and bridge between two worlds, her journey had begun not with conquest, but with compassion, and in that, she found her greatest strength.